Thank you for joining us. I'm Peter Matthews, editor of Firehouse, and I'm excited to welcome the MSA safety team today to discuss the Globe Guard hood on this web chat. The Globe Guard hood offers head and neck particulate protection. Before I begin, I'd like to play a video to learn more about the head-to-toe protection from the folks at Globe.
Your full protection has our full attention. Because at MSA, we develop technologically advanced gear to help keep you safe from head to toe. Starting at your head with our MSA Carnes helmets. Available in 4 distinct styles, our Carnes helmets are made to fit your needs while delivering comfort, protection, and cleanability. Underneath, our Globe Guard system helps protect you against airborne particulates, while our newest Globe Guard hood features ergonomically designed panels for a more comfortable fit. At the heart is our revolutionary G1 SCBA, a technology-based platform with Bluetooth capabilities for better communication and faster reaction times by the firefighter. Athletically inspired, our Globe turnout gear is designed to move with you, while offering multi-hazard protection that won't weigh you down. And Lunar, the newest part of our MSA connected firefighter platform, is there to help you with accountability and ranging, so you can find separated teammates and fires in less time. Now down to our exceptionally comfortable Globe boots. With unparalleled traction and flexibility, our Globe boots give you the confidence to conquer tough terrain. Your full protection has our full attention. That's the MSA way. Get your head-to-toe protection today.
So today I'm joined by the MSA safety team. Let me share a little bit about our guests. First is Caitlin Kelly. She's the Globe custom marketing manager at MSA Safety. She supports business development and execution efforts for all Globe products. Derek Nish is a product line manager for Globe products at MSA Safety, including turnout gear, boots, and the new Globe Guard hood. He's also responsible for product strategy and led these efforts from start to finish for the Globe Guard hood. Finally is Chris Mulker. He is a first responder sales manager for Globe products at MSA Safety, and he services Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Prior to his 20 years of selling Globe products, he served as a paid-on-call firefighter for 10 years. Before we begin with the MSA Safety team, I'd like to just encourage you to send in any questions for the team, and we'll get to those here in a few minutes. It's a web chat, so we'd love to have some interaction from the audience. Please send your questions in on the browser, and we'll get to them here in just a few minutes. So let's begin. And Caitlin, we'll start with you, please. Why introduce the new hood now when they've been available to the fire service for so long?
You know, you're exactly right, Pete. So hoods have been available to departments for a while now, and these hoods have always focused on providing thermal protection. But now it's really common for firefighters today to face exposure to these particulates as well as heat stress in a whole range of situations. In fact, as many of us know, heat stress is still the single biggest cause of firefighter injury. So MSA's new Globe Guard hood, which Chris Mulker is kind enough to be demonstrating for us right now, this hood really helps protect firefighters from airborne particulates as well as heat and flame. So the Globe Guard hood is designed for greater coverage against all of these elements that I just mentioned, but with a really comfortable, less bulky fit, which you can see on Chris right now. Now firefighters can comfortably don the Globe Guard hood with other PPE components like their helmet or their SCBA face piece. And like our entire line of MSA PPE solutions, the Globe Guard hood offers premium performance and protection for these firefighters.
Caitlin, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Chris, look great. Thank you for wearing that for us today. We appreciate that. So Derek, we'll jump over to you. Can you tell us how the hood is constructed?
Yeah, absolutely, Pete. So the Globe Guard hood is constructed of 3 layers. So I'll start with the center layer first, and that is DuPont's Nomex NanoFlex. That's really the workhorse here, and that's the particulate barrier. So the reason we use Nomex NanoFlex because it's highly breathable, and as I mentioned, is very efficient in particulate blocking. One note about the Globe Guard hood is we do carry the Nomex NanoFlex throughout the entire hood, not just some panels. The inside and outside layers of the hood is the same knit material. It's a Nomex lensing blend. So that accomplishes a a few things for us. On the outside, it provides flame and thermal protection, and on the inside, it's moisture wicking as well as comfortable against the skin.
Great, thank you. And Caitlin, we'll jump back to you. So the Globe Guard hood is a certified NFPA or certified by NFPA standards. Can you talk about the certification process and what that ultimately means for product performance?
Yes, so great question, and bear with me as I outline a few really key metrics just to understand the Globe Guard hood's performance. So as many of us are aware, the NFPA establishes these minimal levels of protection from thermal and other hazards encountered on scene. So for the hood, to be exact, it's actually the NFPA 1971 standard. So this is the standard on protective ensembles, for those who are curious. And they include an optional review for certifying these hoods. So as part of that, the Globe Guard hood, which, as you mentioned, it is certified by UL to these protective hood requirements. But what excites us is that we exceed them. So an example is the particulate blocking test, which requires blocking of at least 90% of particulates. And the Globe Guard hood, again, exceeds these minimum requirements, which is very important to us, with a blocking efficiency of 98%. So not 90%, but 98%. Another key piece of these requirements, and again, just bear with me as I outline these acronyms. I feel like many of us have heard them being thrown around, but it's really important. So TPP and THL, what do these mean, especially in terms of talking about PPE performance? So TPP is thermal protective performance. In other words, it's a garment's like thermal insulation. So the heavier the garment is, the better the thermal insulation. And then THL, its counterpart, is total heat loss. So that is really the garment's breathability. How well does it get rid of that energy that has now gone into the garment, and how nice and light is it so that it really breathes for the firefighter? So as I mentioned, these two are a bit of an inverse relationship. There's such an important balancing act between the two, because the heavier a garment, the higher its TPP, because it has superior thermal insulation. But then that also means the lower the THL, there's less breathability. And as I mentioned, that heat stress is such a key reason for firefighter injury. So to get to the point, which is really important, the Globe Guard hood's TPP is 33, and the THL is 346.8. So per the requirements, the minimum THL is actually 325. So being at about 346 for THL is great. We're exceeding that. But again, we're making sure that we're not letting go of the importance of that thermal insulation. So our team is really excited about this balance. It's not just about meeting the requirements, it's about exceeding them. And this is really being validated in wear tests in the field.
That's great to hear. And it's got to just be such a challenge to be able to get both of those. I mean, really to bring them close together as possible to meet the standard, but make it a usable product that's not heavy, bulky, and just, you know, tough to use, and which will ultimately deter a lot of firefighters from using the equipment that they have. So great work on your team to kind of pull all those parts together. Thank you. So Derek, let's talk a little bit more about the hood. What are the features of the Globe Guard hood that kind of set it apart from the other particular protective hoods that are currently on the market in the fire service?
Yeah, so as Caitlin touched on, we obviously meet the NFPA standards, and we view that as the baseline, but we're always striving to exceed them and meet our own internal standards at MSA. So I'm going to touch on 4 features that I think are pretty unique and really beneficial to firefighters in the Globe Guard hood. The first are the panels. So you can see with Chris wearing the hood, they're designed to ergonomically fit the head, neck, and shoulders. So we're trying to reduce bulk and increase comfort if you're wearing the hood for long periods of time. The second is the bib. So we try to strike the right balance of bib size, but we want to provide it wide enough to cover the shoulders through a full range of motion while avoiding bunching under the hood while you're working. The third item, the flat lock seam and the double seam over the head. So Chris had demonstrated before, really just looking for a comfortable fit there, as well as avoiding interference with the helmet. So avoiding any of those friction points or anywhere that may cause discomfort or wear. And then lastly, the elasticized face opening. So sort of being a head to toe provider, we make sure that fits well with the G1 SCBA face piece, as well as any others that firefighters may be using.
Great, Derek, thank you. And so, Chris, we'll jump over to you. Thanks for modeling that for us. So which of the Globe Guard hood features are particularly important for your fire departments as you're out there working with the clients all the time?
Yeah, good question. So I had the great opportunity to validate a lot of the claims that we made. And one of the things that we started out with is really asking fire departments that were in particulate hoods, big and small, metro departments and volunteer departments, 3 simple questions. What do you like about your hoods? What do you dislike about your hoods? And what do you want to see change? And there were 3 aspects that really came forward. One is that people felt that the hoods that were out there, even though they had particulate protection that they were looking for, seemed to be kind of almost turnout gear on your head, not necessarily comfortable and not very lightweight. So that was number 1. Number 2, people talked about that you couldn't hear anything. So, this whole time I'm very easily been able to hear everything going on. Plus, when I move my head side to side, there's no crackling or anything like that. It's more like just a standard conventional hood. And then thirdly, which Caitlin really talked about a lot, is the breathability and the comfort factor. A lot of firefighters complained that the particulate hoods that were out there seemed to be hot or very sweaty because moisture management, there really wasn't much moisture management. So when I was able to get this into people's hands and then get it out in the field where they could actually wear test it, all 3 of those claims that we made came through. Extremely comfortable. It feels just like a standard hood. It doesn't feel like a particulate hood, just like something they've been wearing for the past 15, 20 years. It also, people talked about the fact that when they were not only talking to each other, but when they were actually in a fire situation, they could hear the elements. They could hear the snapple of the fire. They could really detect things around them. And then thirdly, again, it's nothing that necessarily we can really validate, but the fact that we're using NanoFlex as the particulate, it seems to allow for better breathability, but also to be able to disperse that heat and the moisture, manage that much better.
Chris, great. And, I think you bring up a great point, right? The technology has given us the ability to see within a fire, but really hearing is still a very important part when you're listening for signs of life or, possible fire growth and extension. So really having that ability to kind of get a clear opportunity to listen to what's going on in your surroundings is great to hear. Because that noise was, I think, again, a deterrent for some folks in the past. I know some folks would kind of keep their hood behind their ear just to give them that little bit of extra listening ability. So thanks for pointing that out. So great responses so far. I appreciate it. And again, if you do have any questions, folks, please send them in. We'll get them to the folks here in just a minute. But let's go ahead into some more questions and we can learn a little bit more about what's going on. So can you tell us more about the particulate hood, the particulate barrier, and why you chose the one you did for the Globe Guard hood, please? And Derek, that's for you.
Yep, I can take that one. So with using DuPont Nomex NanoFlex, Caitlin talked earlier about the balance between TPP and THL and how you're trying to make the most comfortable piece of equipment possible while also maximizing protection. And I think with DuPont Nomex NanoFlex being engineered to be very light, highly breathable, but also provide great thermal insulation, it was really a great choice for us here in this product. The second thing is really the particulate blocking efficiency. Caitlin mentioned it earlier at 98%. So we're gaining all of those benefits as far as fit and thermal insulation with a great particulate blocking barrier. And then as Chris mentioned, I think the promoting situational awareness and not restricting hearing is something that was important to us, and Nomex NanoFlex allows us to do that.
Great, thank you. How are fire departments responding? And Chris, this is for you since you're out in the field, but how are departments responding to the Globe Guard hoods, construction and materials?
Yeah, the response has been great. One of the things that we look for at Globe, because we always want to give the best products out there, is what we call the wow factor. When somebody can either put it in their hand or put it on, wear it, and just go, wow. And that's really the response that we've gotten from this hood. We may have been slower to the game on the particulate hood, but we wanted to make sure that when we did offer something, that we offered something that gave you that wow factor, something that was above and beyond what firefighters are actually looking for. So a few of the responses that I've heard from a budgetary standpoint, fire departments are saying the big difference with our hood in comparison, it's a one size fits all. It doesn't matter what the head size is, the hood actually stretches and moves. So from a budgetary standpoint, they aren't ordering larges, mediums, smalls, different hoods. They just have one hood that fits all. And with a lot of the washing that departments are doing now, they're moving these hoods from person to person. So after a fire scene, a lot of times they're taking the hoods, washing them, and then handing them back out. So individual may or may not get his original hood back, but what he does get back is a hood that's going to actually fit him and fit him properly. I've also heard a lot in terms of what Derek was talking about in terms of the drape over the shoulders and then the length of the hood as well. Again, there's been a great debate in terms of how long this hood should be. Should it be a long hood? Should it be a short hood, or somewhere in between? And again, the response has been with the styling of this hood, coupled with the comfort and the fact that it does stretch, it does move, the hood actually stays in place. So it's kind of a balancing act. We're kind of in the middle of a long and a short, but it has shown to actually stay properly underneath the coat and not have the ride up that a lot of fire departments were experiencing with a lot of other hoods out there.
Great. Chris, again, I think you bring up a great point as far as just the one size fits all, as departments are just trying to do everything they can to mitigate firefighter cancer and prevent, dirty gear from going back onto a firefighter right away. Having that one size fits all reduces the number of hoods that they probably have to buy in general. Like you said, it can go to this person today and that person tomorrow without making sure that you have 200 of every size in stock should there be a multi-alarm fire or something. So great. That's a great benefit to it as well on a cost saving side. So, okay. Thank you. Another question here for you is I read that the Globe Guard hood is part of the Globe Guard system. Can you please explain what that is to us?
Sure, Pete, I can take that one first. So the Globe Guard system is really an exposure reduction system to help prevent ingress of particulates that firefighters encounter on the fire scene. So the Globe Guard hood is now the fourth component, if you will, to that system. But for the first three, one on the jacket and two on the pants. So starting at the jacket, it is a skirt, if you will, sewn into the jacket just above the hemline, made of Gore Crosstech Black and TechaSafe Plus to attempt to prevent ingress between the pant and jacket interface. The second is at the pant cuff, so a elastic that sort of forms around the boot to prevent ingress at that interface. And then the third is at the base of the fly. So if you have a hook and loop closure, you still tend to have a little bit of a gap at the base of the fly. So the TechaSafe Plus and the Crosstech Black is installed there to prevent ingress there.
Mm-hmm. And just to add to what Derek has said, continually improving PPE specs is actually one of the many critical steps for departments when they're reducing exposure to toxic substances for their firefighters. So for PPE, there's several ways to approach this. You could be adding a particulate protective Globe Guard hood, for example, or there's even the optional Globe Guard system, which you can add to your jacket and pant components that Derek has just mentioned. So in terms of the Globe Guard system, there are different interface components that you'll want to take into consideration. It's on that jacket with the front closure, the zipper inside, and that hook and loop outside. You want to make sure you're reducing exposure there. It's on the pants with the addition of the inside gusset that can also help reduce exposure when that fly is properly closed. Again, it's all about securing all of these different interface points. Another common interface element is that it's sleeve well. So again, when you're raising your arms above your head, it's recommended to help keep toxic substances out of there from entering those sleeves when your arms are raised. So with that adjustable elasticized sleeve well offered with the Globe Guard system, we're making sure that at each and every interface point, we're making sure those particulates are not getting in there.
Well, great. And so, the old PPE used to be personal protective envelope. Right now, it's personal protective equipment. It's also been referred to as ensemble. So to a degree, this is creating that envelope, right? You're kind of sealing all those areas where the contaminants can get in, but still making it lightweight and breathable so that the heat release is taking place. Is that a correct assumption?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
Great, cool, thank you. All right, and again, if you have any questions, please send them in. We've got a couple more to get to here. So first question is, how did you assess the durability of the new particulate hood? Derek, I think that's for you.
Yeah. So as we worked through design iterations, we really tested at 3 different levels. So the first being just on a material level. So as we were creating the layup and creating the stitching pattern, stressing those in our lab at Globe to ensure that we were getting the durability that's expected. The second is in a full hood at a mannequin level. So putting a face piece on a mannequin and repetitively donning and doffing the hood with that mannequin. And then the third actually on a human level. So having folks actually put on face piece, put on hoods, go through repetitive donning and doffing, perform activities and exercises in the hood to make sure that they were standing up to what's expected. And then lastly, sort of along the human element there is just field trials of I don't think there's really a substitute for putting it on a firefighter and having them go through a couple of burns with it and just showing how it holds up.
Great.
So, Pete, if I can chime in there.
Absolutely.
Again, I had the opportunity of bringing this out to departments and really getting that field evaluation. And one department in particular here in the Midwest that tends to burn a lot had the opportunity to actually bring it into 25 different fires. And after every fire, they washed it. And it was remarkable. After the washing, the hood looked like it was still brand new. We were able to do a light test on it as well to see if there was any migration of that particulate barrier. Everything looked great on the inside. So again, as Derek said, it's when you get that field verification that, hey, this is something that is going to work in the field. That's what gives us the ability to say, yep, this is what we're after.
Great. Chris, thanks. That's great insight from that perspective. So we do have a couple more questions here. Let me bring up the screen. So can you folks discuss the cleaning and inspection process for the hoods, please?
Yeah, so in terms of cleaning and inspection for the hoods, we actually have a very detailed guide that's publicly available. It's right on the GlobeGuard hood page. If you go down, you'll see the cleaning requirements. It's a PDF that you can download. And in detail, it walks you through from right on scene when you're walking off from the fire, and now you have a contaminated hood, how to properly doff that hood. But then it walks you through if you're hand washing it, what the recommendations are, or if you're machine washing it. So our hood can be hand washed or machine washed, but in terms of then making sure you're not really stretching it, really preserving that hood, it's very durable, but there are some great recommendations as well as even NFPA requirements for how to dry that hood. So we highly recommend you take that out and just follow the step-by-step process.
All right, great. Thank you, Caitlin. And another question for you folks is, how is the elastic around the SCBA interface holding up at this point during your testing?
Hey, I'll take that one first. So during our development testing, it held up just fine. We did hundreds of dons and doffs. It's a 3/8 inch elastic, and we didn't notice really any issues with either it stretching out or failing to maintain a seal. Chris, I know that you've been in the field with some firefighters with it. So have you seen anything on the elastic that would lead to any different conclusions?
No, not really. Of course, MSA G1 SCBAs, it works extremely well with, but I've also tested it with departments that were in other SCBAs. And again, we really didn't see any difference in terms of allowing anything to penetrate through the seals. So yeah, the elastic has held up with all the testing that we've done.
Great. And Chris, I mean, from your perspective being in the field, what kind of training do you recommend for firefighters with the hoods, right? I mean, I know it's just part of the overall PPE outfit, but, what do you suggest to members just to make sure that they're doing the right thing, they're placing it in the right spot, making sure that, everything is closed up so nothing's exposed? Any tips or suggestions for that?
Well, I think the biggest thing is really getting guys to understand that this is a necessity. It's not an option, it's a necessity. I grew up in the fire service. My father was a firefighter. My father told me that when your ears got hot, that was time to get out, but he always had exposed ears. As we have seen over the past few years, that the fire load may have gone down, but the hazard in terms of contaminants and toxins and everything else has gone up dramatically. So the biggest thing is really getting guys to understand that they need to wear their hood. They need to don it properly. You need to, again, make sure that it is draped over the shoulders, that your coat is sealing up around it, that it's sitting flat, it's not curled up, it's sitting flat. They need to make sure that the elastic goes around the SCBA facepiece, and just take the time. I know everybody wants to go in as quick as they can, but if you take that extra 2 or 3 seconds to make sure it's done properly, your family is going to be a lot happier in the long run after you do retire.
Yeah. Okay. Chris, thank you. I mean, I think it's just an overlooked tool, right? Sometimes there's so much time focused on other items and it's being tucked in. So that's good to know. So thank you, Chris. Thanks for sharing that. Before we wrap up, is there anything else? Okay. Looks like we've answered all the questions. So how do we learn more about the Globe Guard hood? Where can we find some more information on that? Caitlin, if you could help that.
Of course. Thanks, Pete. So all of the information that we've mentioned, including the cleaning guide that you can download, this can be found right on our website at www.msafire.com/globe. So if you're interested in learning more about our new Globe Guard hood or how to clean your hood, please check out our website or feel free to contact your local distributor and they'll be really happy to help you.
Great. Thank you. So Caitlin, Derek, and Chris, thank you so much for joining us today. Thanks to all the folks who attended. Again, make sure you visit that website so you can find some more information about the hood, learn the specifics, find the cleaning guidelines and all that. That's msafire.com/globe. And thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Pete.
Thank you.
Thank you.